Finn and Jake, Gumball and Darwin, two of the most famous brothers in animation. One pair grew up saving kingdoms in a world of magic and danger. The other survives a junior high school in a town where reality breaks every 5 minutes. Different worlds, different rules, but the same kind of bond. One that's built on years of shared victories, dumb mistakes, and quiet moments that say more than words ever could. And here's the part that might surprise you. One of these relationships changes in ways that will break your heart, and the other stays mostly the same. Yet they're still similar in so many ways that the both of them truly show what it really means to be a brother. Before we can talk about how these relationships grow, we need to look at how they started, as both of them are not bonded by blood. For Finn and Jake, it goes all the way back to childhood. Finn was a human baby left alone in the woods. Jake's parents took him in, raised him as one of their own, and from then on, the two were inseparable. Jake and Finn were not bound by blood, but by something stronger. A promise that no matter what, they'd face everything together. Gumball and Darwin's story is even stranger. Darwin began as the family pet, a goldfish in a bowl. Then through one of those bursts of logic-breaking magic that Elmore seems to thrive on, he grew legs and lungs. The Watersons adopted him without question, and Gumball gained not just a pet with a sense of humor, but a best friend who'd follow him anywhere. One pair came together through survival, the other through pure affection. But right from the start, both relationships were built on the same thing. A deep, unshakable sense that life is better and maybe even possible because the other one's there to share it with you. That doesn't mean that they're two sides of the same coin though. It's exactly their differences that make their bonds even stronger. But they are pretty similar to each other sometimes. Jake didn't just fight along Finn, he shaped the way Finn sees the world. When Finn was younger, Jake was the one reminding him not to burn out chasing every fight. In Dungeon Train, Finn's caught in a fighting loop, obsessed with just grinding through endless waves of monsters on a train. Kind of reminds me of when I play video games. Jake hates it there though, says that it's a bad place for Finn to stay. But even when threatening to leave Finn behind, he would stay forever anyway if it meant he could be together with Finn. That's what makes Finn realize that he's lost sight of what matters. Not the thrill of fighting, but having someone who'll stand beside you no matter what. And that's not the only time Jake helped Finn grow either. In Incendium, Jake sees Finn crushed after losing Princess Bubblegum, and instead of letting him mope, Jake takes it on himself to help Finn heal, setting up a meeting with Flame Princess. It's clumsy, but it's Jake showing Finn that life doesn't end after heartbreak. Even in Dad's dungeon, Jake takes on a harder role. He lets Finn face the brutal monster their dad left behind alone, resisting the urge to step in, because he knows that Finn needs to grow on his own. That kind of restraint is harder than fighting sometimes. Jake's guidance isn't always perfect though. Sometimes it's pretty goofy.
Let's kill the horse.
And sometimes it's bad advice. But it's constant, he's always trying to help. And over the years, his brotherhood is what turned Finn from a kid chasing adventures into someone who could handle losing them. We can go on and on about all the advice Jake gives to Finn or how Finn grows in their relationship, but we have separate videos on those, so you can find them in the description down below. Feel free to leave a like, sub, and comment while you're at it too. In Gumball, the roles are kinda switched around. Darwin might be younger, but in a lot of ways, he's Gumball's moral compass. Take the sidekick, where Darwin isn't just the loyal brother backing Gumball's antics. He's tired of always being, well, the sidekick. At first, Gumball brushes it off. He doesn't see the issue here at all, until Darwin shows him a school yearbook where he's barely even in the photo. That's not even the worst. He's just Gumball's orange bag, according to Colin. A realization that hits Darwin hard, perhaps, but at some point, it hits Gumball as well. So he switches the roles. When Darwin finally gets a taste of the leadership that Gumball usually has, he doesn't just fumble it, he spirals. His plan to get their game back ends with Tobias's mom tied to a chair and nearly hit by a truck. But instead of mocking him, Gumball steps in. He says that Darwin isn't a sidekick, he's a guardian, the one who stops him when he goes too far. That moment isn't loud or dramatic, it's a small shift, but it shows how Darwin shapes Gumball. Definitely not by controlling him. That's something he also tried and didn't really work out. He did it in The Safety, where after watching a creepy video, Darwin becomes super hyper aware of every single possible danger in the world. All he could think of is protecting everyone he loves. That, of course, includes Gumball. So he transforms the house into some kind of safe haven. He's filtered the food, the language, the entertainment, all in the name of keeping everyone safe from the world. It's funny because it's absurd, but it's also familiar, and Darwin sees a dangerous world, and he decides that he'll be the shield and protect everyone. Gumball disagrees, and as the episode goes on, makes Darwin understand that he can't protect everything and everyone, and he's gone way too far. In the end, Darwin doesn't double down. He lets go and listens, helping both of them shape the other. We've seen how Gumball and Darwin balance each other out and how Jake shapes Finn, but how does it work the other way around? Jake might have been older and more laid back than Finn, but Finn changed the way that he approached life. In the early episodes, Jake leaned more towards comfort, but Finn's drive to help people and to act pulled Jake into situations that he would have walked away from. In The Witch's Garden, when Jake loses his powers, he's ready to sit the rest of the fight out, but Finn refuses to let him quit, pushing him to keep going until they fixed the problem. Moments like that taught Jake that persistence can matter more than just convenience. In The Limit, the two race through a maze to win a wish-granting prize. Jake overextends himself, literally stretching to a point of near collapse. Finn doesn't push him further. He keeps insisting that Jake stop for his own health, except for one instance. It's actually the hot dog knights who are doing that. It still shows Jake that looking out for each other matters more than winning. That was a moment where Jake sees Finn valuing his well-being over the adventure and the prize and the psychic elephant beast. Then, in Her Parents, Jake is nervous about meeting Lady Rainicorn's family, unsure if they'll accept him. Finn steps in as his wingman, coaching him through the awkward moments and covering for him when things get tense. It's Finn showing that he can be the steady one. Sometimes, in the moments when Jake is alone, he just accepts whatever's going on, like when Keoth took him hostage.
What? No, you have to suffer.
Okay.
Okay. When I say something, you're supposed to disagree, okay?
Finn's courage and loyalty gave Jake more than a partner in adventure. They gave him someone worth pushing and changing himself for. What makes these bro duos so powerful is how different they are. Jake is laid back and Finn is intense. Gumball is reckless and Darwin is cautious. But in the middle of all that tug-of-war, growth happens. If brotherhood would be about exactly being the same, it would be pretty boring, right? It's much more about being shaped by someone who isn't you while still getting along excellently with them. Someone who challenges your comfort zone and shows you another way of seeing the world. Finn helps Jake care more. Jake helps Finn stress less. Darwin helps Gumball see consequences to his actions. Gumball reminds Darwin how to take risks sometimes. They don't become each other, but they become better with each other. And that's what makes these brotherhoods so special. We think it's the exact reason most shows use two very polarizing characters as their head characters. Phineas and Ferb, CatDog, Tom and Jerry, they kinda bounce off together, right? Opposites thrown together, characters who shouldn't get along but somehow do. That contrast doesn't just make things funnier, it makes the connection between them that more meaningful. But just because both pairs of brothers help each other out, that doesn't mean that they don't have any fights or differences. That's also a part of the reality of being brothers. For most of Adventure Time, Finn and Jake are inseparable, but they also argue and grow in ways that don't fully line up with each other. In Who Would Win, Finn and Jake get into an actual drag-out brawl. It starts with a shared goal. They want to fight a legendary monster called the Farm, but right away their differences show. Finn trains seriously, Jake plays video games. Finn breaks Jake's console out of frustration. Jake threatens to break every bone in Finn's body. Underneath the jokes and the giant butt attacks, the fight isn't about the farm at all. It's about feeling dismissed and about your bro not respecting the way you do things. Finn wants to be taken seriously. Jake wants his space respected. Neither of them say it outright, but their bodies and their actions say it for them, in bruises, kicks, and bites. And what's wild is, they're not even mad at the end. They fall asleep mid-fight, together. And in that shared dream, a mysterious warrior tells them how to win, not with skill or discipline, but with the same dumb, scrappy tricks they'd used on each other. Mud in the eyes, pantsing, biting butts. So when they wake up, that's exactly how they beat the farm. They win because of their fight, not in spite of it. Also in Video Makers, Finn and Jake don't throw punches, they just throw some shade. It starts with a pretty wholesome plan. If they can't show old movies anymore, they'll make one themselves. But when it's time to choose a genre, their differences take center stage. Jake wants romance. Finn wants action. And instead of compromising, they dig in. Suddenly, it's not about the movie, it's about control. Every shot becomes a passive-aggressive protest. Every scene is edited with spite. They stop collaborating and start competing, using their creativity against each other. And by the time movie night rolls around, they're co-stars in a Cold War. But here's where it gets brilliant. Bimo, the smallest voice in the room, turns their clashing footage into something else entirely. A love letter to their friendship. He cuts all the chaos out and leaves only the laughter, the joy, the weird little moments they forgot while arguing over romance versus action. It's a reminder that the real story wasn't the film they were making at all, it was just them doing something together. But there is also one key difference between how Gumball and Adventure Time cover the reality of being bros, which we'll get to in just a second. First, we need to talk about how Gumball handles conflicts in a different but very similar way. Unlike Finn and Jake, Gumball and Darwin don't get into physical fights all that much, but the friction still shows up. Just like Finn and Jake, they clash when their personalities pull in different directions. Like in The Bros, Darwin starts to feel like he's losing Gumball. Penny's in the picture now, and Gumball is changing, falling in love, spending less time with Darwin, and Darwin doesn't know how to deal with that shift. At first, it's petty, sabotaging dates, spying, even pegging Penny with basketballs. But beneath the comedy is something raw and painful, because when Gumball comes home, Darwin is there, just dressed in cardboard, pretending to be Penny, just to get his brother's attention. And when Gumball demands to know what he's doing, Darwin says it.
Whatever it takes for you to still love me.
That hurts. For Darwin, it's not just about jealousy, it's about fear. Fear that the person who once centered their world on you is moving on, and that maybe there's no space for you anymore. It mirrors Jake the Dad, where Jake starts a family and pulls away from Finn. Both moments show how deeply these characters rely on each other, not just for laughs or adventure, but for emotional safety. They've built their identities around each other, so when that bond feels threatened, even for a moment, it shakes everything. The foundation of the Brotherhood was never built on being the same person, it was built on always coming back to each other, no matter what changed. But let's get back to that one key difference that actually changes the way both shows portray real brotherhood. When you follow two characters across hundreds of episodes, you expect some kind of transformation, character growth, right? With Finn and Jake, that transformation is everywhere. Time passes, Finn matures. He makes mistakes that change him. He gets crushed by love and loss. Through it all, Jake's role shifts too, from silly older brother to a cautious mentor, then from absent father to adventuring partner, and eventually to a memory. We get to see this beautiful revelation in Fiona and Cake, where Finn is still being a hero, but one with a tattoo of his brother's image, adorned with forget-me-not flowers on his chest to remember him by. By Together Again, it's pretty clear. Their story isn't just about having a brother, it's about losing one too, and about carrying them with you always anyway. About how love at its best teaches you how to keep living when everything changes, sometimes even when your bro isn't there for you. Gumball and Darwin? Their world doesn't change so much. They stay kids over many seasons. Their house stays chaotic. Their classmates stay stuck in the same grade. But here's the thing. Their relationship doesn't need to evolve in big dramatic ways to feel real, because their constancy and slow development is kind of the point. Darwin may grow more confident. Gumball may soften, sometimes. But at the end of the episode, Elmore kinda just resets the bond a little bit, and that's kind of the comfort. It's mostly similar. Simply put though, Adventure Time often treats the Finn-Jake bond with dramatic weight and big swings and shifts. They save each other, they mourn each other, they miss each other, they come back together, whereas the Amazing World of Gumball treats the Gumball-Darwin bond with more of a lighthearted sweetness and necessity. Like they hug, they play, they team up against silly foes, and it's basically a given. But in the end, it doesn't really undergo dramatic change over time. Both approaches celebrate brotherhood, just in different flavors and at different paces and with different lessons in mind. The reality of brothers, though, isn't that they never fight or that things always change or that they always stay the same. It's just that when the fight is over, when time passes, when things happen, they're still there. They're your bro, and they're there for you. Sometimes you and your bro grow up and you grow apart. Others sometimes stay frozen while you're moving on. But all of them, if they're real, remind you that love doesn't always need to be spoken, and it doesn't have to be the same all the time. It's in the way that they wait for you to come back, the way that they never let you fall too far, if they're real, the way that they're still by your side, even after everything that happens. And that's not just fantasy. These shows, for all their surreal worlds and their talking animals and their magic, they capture something very real. Jealousy when your sibling spends more time with someone else, right? Darwin felt that when Gumball fell for Penny. Petty fights that spiral into chaos, just look at Finn and Jake's blow-up over a movie plot. That protective big brother instinct, Jake's shielded Finn from monsters and from heartbreaks. Darwin's hovered over Gumball during breakups and breakdowns. Through times of jealousy, rivalry, and awkwardness, Gumball and Adventure Time also show us that the reality of being brothers is ultimately just showing up, being present, and loving each other dearly at the end of the day, no matter what happens, no matter what fights you go through, no matter what challenges you go through, you're there for each other and you support each other, and that's what matters. And if you want to see just how deep that brotherly bond goes, how it holds up even when the world is falling apart around you, you need to watch our video on Finn, the hero who couldn't save himself. Because even at his lowest, when he couldn't save anyone, Jake never left his side. And that's what bros do. So watch that one next. It might just hit you even harder than this one. And thank you so much for leaving a like, for watching, for commenting, and for subscribing. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers, all because we make some videos that you guys like. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in those videos. When you click on them, I'll see you there.